I never bought into the idea of keeping a gun for life. Shops are filled with folks promising, "This is the one," right before they trade it next payday. I've been guilty myself, watching something shiny come out, swearing off my old standby, convinced there's always a better trigger or a new grip angle that'll fix whatever I thought was wrong. Most of the time, the safe becomes a revolving door, but there's a short list of pistols that don't budge, no matter what hits the shelves. I'm talking about the ones I tried to trade, nearly pawned off, caught myself almost regretting, yet they're still here, years later, outlasting the hype and every so-called upgrade. If you stay with me, you'll see why each of these guns survived every test I threw at them. And at the end, the one that still makes me question if forever even means anything in this game. I'm not sure how many people can say they've had a single pistol since their early 20s and meant it. Most nights, my workbench is cluttered. Old cleaning cloth, parts from guns that came and went, and right in the center, my HKU SP. It's not pretty anymore. The polymer's gone smooth, the sights aren't what they used to be, and if you squint, you'll spot little scratches from years of being too rough, too casual. I bought this thing thinking I'd outgrow it quick. Just something to start with until I graduated to the next big thing. Truth is, I almost did. I lined up a trade once, box in hand, ready to swap it for a new hotshot 9mm that everyone swore was the future. That night, I took the USP out for one last range trip. Ran it hot, expecting it to fail, hoping for a sign to let it go, but it just did what it always does. Ran smooth, never flinched, never complained. I can't tell you what kept me from finishing that trade. Maybe it was habit. Maybe it was knowing how it felt after thousands of rounds when all the flash wore off. Every time I chase something newer, the USP is still right here. Quiet, ugly, and always ready. Some guns don't have to sell themselves. You just realize somewhere along the way, you never let them go. It was June of 2023. High sun and Texas heat. Local match out at the old clay pits. I was running on too little sleep and too much coffee. The kind of morning where the range dust gets in your throat before you even unpack. The Shadow 2 Compact sat in my bag. Cold steel and deep blue. A pistol everyone wanted to see, but nobody wanted to be caught showing off. I'd picked it up on a whim, half to prove something, half because a buddy wouldn't quit bragging about his. As soon as I racked in, the ribbing started. "Let's see if that race gun can dance," someone called out. Grins all around. It should have been friendly, but the edge was real. First string, slick. I botched a reload, mag slipped, bounced once, everyone saw it. Nothing dramatic, just a little echo of laughter that burned more than any malfunction. I finished the match, but I never shook that sting. The Shadow 2 Compact ran fine, but every time I touch it now, I remember standing there, feeling that gun weigh more than any trophy. It's still in my safe. Not a badge of pride, just a steel reminder that sometimes the hardest gun to keep is the one that's seen you at your most exposed. But if you think embarrassment sticks, wait until you hear what kept the next one locked in my grip, no matter how hard I try to let it go. Recently, I let my ex-macro walk out the door with a buddy. He needed something slim for a trip, and I figured, why not? My safe was full, and I'd have convinced myself I was done with the Micro 9 craze. It was supposed to be a quick loan, maybe even permanent. I had other options, and honestly, it felt good to clear out the clutter. But that week, every carry felt wrong. Holsters pinched, new triggers felt fake, and not a single replacement disappeared under a t-shirt, the way the ex-macro always did. I tried to shake it off, tried to convince myself the new pick would settle in, but nothing clicked. Every time my hand went to my belt, I caught myself looking for a ghost. It took a couple of stubborn days before I finally picked up the phone. No pride left, just a simple ask. "You done with that ex-macro?" When he dropped it back in my hand, it felt like finding the missing piece of a puzzle I'd been solving blind. The ex-macro never needed to be the best on paper. I never planned on keeping it for life. But that's the truth about certain guns. They just fit your world, and you only learn it when you try to live without them. A few years back, things got lean. Work dried up, bills kept showing up, and one by one, the gun safe started thinning out. I remembered laying out pistols on the kitchen table, weighing memories against the rent. The fancy ones and the impulse buys went first. Even a couple of old favorites ended up on Gunbroker, shipped out to strangers just so I could keep the lights on. But the Beretta 92 FS, that one always ended up back in the case. It wasn't the one I bragged about or the one I loved to shoot most, but it was practical, reliable, easy to service, worth more kept than sold. Every time I thought about listing it, something held me back. It became the fallback. The one gun left when every other option was gone. It's funny how you end up keeping the thing you never planned on holding this long. Not for pride, not for glory, just survival. Sometimes that's the only reason you need. But if you think necessity is strong, wait till you see the one gun I never doubted, no matter what got thrown my way. It's always the same thing. Front door half open, weather shifting by the hour, kid yelling for a snack, phone buzzing with some new problem, keys on the hook, wallet in the bowl, gun on the counter. For years, that spot's seen a rotating cast of pistols. Sometimes I'd pick the one that looked sharpest, sometimes whatever YouTube said was must-have for the month. Always thought one day I'd find the perfect fit, but when the morning is already rough and I'm running late, the M&P 9 2.0 compact ends up in the holster. Not because it's flawless, hell, I've complained about the grip, the slide, even the texture when it's humid, but it just works. After a while, you notice the pattern. Every other gun gets a trial run, but this is the one that's survived rainstorms, long drives, bad moods, and every excuse to trade up. I used to chase the feeling of new. Now, real trust is knowing what makes it out the door with you day after day is the one that's already proven it belongs. No hype, no heroics, just the only gun left standing when nothing else makes sense. And if you're still searching for something that actually changes your mind, just wait until you see the one pistol that keeps ending up on your belt, whether you planned it or not. I lost count of how many hands my Walther PDPs passed through over the last couple of years. It started as my backup, but pretty soon, every range day or backyard barbecue, someone would nudge me and ask, "Hey, can I run the PDP for a bit?" Family borrowed it for a class. Neighbor needed it for a late night drive. I and my buddy who swears by Glocks kept sneaking it out of the bag. I'd buy new pistols thinking I'd finally get my own rotation set. But the PDP never stuck around long. It'd always come back with a new scratch, fresh soot, maybe a story about how it made someone shoot better than they thought. I realized it wasn't nostalgia or specs that kept it in the safe. It was the way it worked for anybody who needed it. I guess some guns just belong to the crowd, not just the guy with his name on the bill of sale. Maybe that's the real mark of a keeper. Not the one you never lend, but the one nobody wants to give back. Most guns vanish from the rotation, traded, forgotten, or left for whatever's next. But the ones on this list refuse to quit. I tried to move on, gave in to the urge to start fresh, even caught myself thinking I'd outgrown a few. But every time the dust settled, these pistols clawed their way back onto my belt, proving why some guns really do earn their keep. Maybe you've got your own keeper, or maybe you regret the one that slipped away. The truth is, holding onto a gun for life isn't about stubbornness or brand loyalty. It's about surviving every reason to let go and still coming back. Drop your own story below. What's the one you never could shake? I'm Steve, and if you're lucky, maybe you'll figure out which one's worth keeping before you're done trading.